And greetings to all. It's welcome to season 4 of IFB, Interfleet Broadcasting. And I'm New York Pete, of course. And I got to tell you that I am broadcasting tonight with our guest co-host. I traded one Chris for another Chris. So tonight we're here with Dr. Chris McAuley. Not a stranger to IFB, not a stranger to you guys that have been watching, and those of you that are not familiar, award-winning writer, author, producer, gamer, franchise owner and creator of various, from the Stokerverse to Dark Legacies, and to include others, Tower Protocol as well. So Dr. Chris McAuley, welcome to IFB.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody.
Hopefully, let's jump on. You know, guys, what to do. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that the Tipsy Toaster is out, and we'll get into the good reason that he couldn't be here with us. But we want to thank you for tuning in advance. This is our news and pop culture sci-fi entertainment channel. So full disclosure, I grew up watching the 70s and 80s classic TV, the movies, the cartoons, you know, all that great stuff that was going on then. And I bring that to the show. And I know that Chris McAuley also has a background because he's a fan as well. So he brings a slightly later, he's a younger man than I am, but he also brings his fandom to everything that he does, and we truly appreciate that. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, everybody. James McCoy, George G is in the house. Bert Oliver Bomer, another award-winning sci-fi author. Thank you so much, Bert, for everything you do. Paul, and of course, Lola. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. You guys put something up so that I can acknowledge you. And let me thank everybody that are watching later on. Chris, you've done a couple of shows with us, Chris, and we've gotten over 20,000 views, anywhere from 15 to 20,000 views on those shows. And hopefully this one will be the same. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And Chris, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man.
Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Excellent. Well, in our well-established tradition, Chris, we like to recognize the fans, because without the fans, there wouldn't be, cult TV, movies, followers, and fans make everything, right, Chris? It's not only, sci-fi and horror genres and, all of these great things that we like. It's music as well. I mean, it's all of it. Yeah. So I have the King of Beers with me tonight, and I am drinking out of my original Battlestar Galactica Cylon glass.
Oh, that looks nice.
Promo. Yeah, it's a promo from 1979. Right. And I'm going to fill that up right now.
Okay. Well, I'm drinking out of a, let me see if I can get the camera right. Where's the camera? Here we go. Guinness, quite a large Guinness tankard. Okay. But tonight, because I have a rather busy day tomorrow, I am drinking Guinness Zero. Now, I don't think you can get this yet in the States. I'm not sure, but let's do this properly. Craving the rich, smooth taste of Guinness, but looking to skip the alcohol? Dive into the delightful world of Guinness non-alcoholic beer. Now you can savor that iconic flavor you love, guilt-free, and still join in all the fun. Perfect for any occasion. It's the best of both worlds in a single refreshing pint.
Excellent. Well said there, my friend. Very good. Well done. Well done. So you are then set, and we will toast to all the fans out there, right? So when you're ready, are you ready there?
There we go.
Okay. So you know what our motto is, Chris. So if you wouldn't mind bringing that up.
Fans fuel the fleet.
Absolutely. Here's to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. King of Beers. Excellent. All right. I'm drinking my favorite Camelot Honey Mead. Whoa, James, that's cool. All right.
Well, James is saying there, that his lady doesn't let him drink too many Guinness. Calls it too chewy. You can never have too many Guinness, James.
Yeah, man, come on.
Tell your good lady that's Guinness is really good for you. Like a lot of people don't know, but there was a famous Irish player called Patrick Kavanagh, and all Patrick Kavanagh he wouldn't eat food. He just drank Guinness. That's the legend, anyway.
That's the legend. Well, you know what? I'll go with that. But Scott Good, thanks for joining us live. Appreciate it. So tonight we have a bunch of things that we're going to discuss. Amongst them, Dr. Chris, is your stuff. Okay. And there's a lot. You're always busy. You always got a lot of stuff. You're the father creator, to use a term for one of the Battlestar Galactica episodes.
Yeah.
And you're always doing stuff which is awesome. And I want to sprinkle that throughout the night. You have an upcoming event this Saturday night, or Saturday, I think.
Saturday, Saturday, yeah.
But that's something that I'm going to put that up. I got the slide for that. However, tonight is the night that we get an update from Tiny Bean Tara. So she's got a very interesting update. Some highlights of some of the things that she's been, staying on top of. So I'm going to bring her up. So I'm going to, there we go. Tiny Bean.
Yay!
What's up? Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. What's going on?
Oh, so happy to be here. Good night.
Likewise. So there's a lot of great TV going on. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys have been watching or following The Acolyte. The latest episode I heard is super, super good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I know it dropped, but I've heard some really good things about it. So I'm very curious. But you're getting a hi from Paul, of course. Oh, you know what? I have a little opening for you. It's a little bit different. So let's see how you like this. Here we go. Boom.
That is delightful. I love it.
It's great.
It's not the jazz hands, right? I don't have access to that very special original song that was written and composed for you, but that's on the regular show. So tonight, since since our favorite Tipsy Toaster actually is not with us, and now that you're here with us, Tiny Bean, let's reveal the fact that our very own Tipsy Toaster is getting married this weekend. And so he's taking care of business. Priorities are set in place. So let's toast to the Tipsy Toaster. Wish him well. To Chris and Jamie. All the best. Lots of luck. Many years. Yeah. Cheers.
Sláinte.
So, Tiny Bean, you got as usual, you have your update, and let's go through that, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the other programs. Our special guest is on in the wings. He's waiting in the green room, so that's perfect. Everett, thank you. So I'm going to start you right up, Tiny Bean.
All right, fantastic. Well, hello, IFB. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to Tiny Bean's Corner, where we discuss new, old, and otherwise interesting things for the fleet's viewing pleasure. There's so much out there to choose from, so I hope I can give you some fun ideas for stuff to check out and things to look forward to. So first up, news has dropped that the 7th season of Black Mirror is confirmed to hit Netflix in early 2025.
Wow.
So excited for that, right? I mean, Black Mirror, they rarely disappoint. And this time, they are doing a sequel episode. Remember that fun Star Trek spoof they did with the USS Callister? Well, they are bringing the Callister back, my friends.
Ooh.
Right? So cool. Word is they actually just wrapped shooting on that episode. So really looking forward to a new season. The last season was amazing. I still think about that disturbing one with Josh Hartnett and Aaron Paul. Oof, that was a lot.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, right. But anyway, in the meantime, if you are looking for something to whet your appetite for Black Mirror, I have a great little gem on Netflix for you. We talk a lot here in the corner about how Netflix keeps hitting it out of the park with their international programming, especially in horror and sci-fi. And this is no exception. Check out Joko Anwar's anthology horror series, Nightmares and Daydreams.
Ooh.
Not for the faint of heart, guys, but if you can handle Black Mirror, this is right up your alley. Each episode is a different and seemingly unrelated, disturbing story, but hang on until the final episode, guys, because the threads might actually intertwine. This is an easy binge, gang, well worth the time, but you might want to leave the lights on for it. Now, next up, I know Tipsy is not with us tonight, but Tipsy and I have eagerly been waiting for this news to drop. Tulsa King Season 2 will start September 15th. Stallone will be back as Dwight Manfredi, running his own style of mafia in his exile in Tulsa. The first season was fabulous, hit every note. If old school action with a Sopranos edge is your thing, look no further. Well written, full of great actors. There's no reason why this second season should go anywhere other than up. So, check out the new teaser trailer that just hit. I am counting the days till this gets here, guys. Tulsa King will be on Paramount Plus, so please go binge the first season if you haven't already. Now, you all know we're very big on nostalgia here in Tiny Bean's Corner, with an extra soft spot for the 80s. And what says 80s more than Eddie Murphy's Beverly Hills Cop, right? Well, next week, Netflix is bringing us what we could have just dreamt of, right? A new spin, decades later. This one is Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Check out the trailer, guys. You will be laughing out loud, and they are all back. Paul Reiser, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, even Bronson Pinchot, who played the scene-stealing Serge. Well, this time they are also adding 80s icon Kevin Bacon to the mix as the enemy. And
Wow.
not possibly be bad, right?
That's great.
It's going to be hysterical. You got to check out this trailer. I had like tears streaming down my face. It's hysterical. So, guys, if you are in the States gearing up for your holiday weekend, start it off with this. Axel F will hit Netflix on July 3rd. Sure to be a good time. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's going to be so much fun. And they also have Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2 on Netflix. So now, for review time, there is so much going on to catch up on, guys. I am here. We're trying to catch up with everything. It's great. 2 episodes into House of the Dragon for this season, and I am already gobsmacked by it. But we'll save that discussion for later in the season when there's more to talk about. Tonight, I'd like to talk about season 2 of Interview with the Vampire. I know we talked about this one last year. Excuse me. The first season was quite good. Well, this season is outstanding. Full disclosure, Pete, and I know you know this. I know you're there with me. I was a huge fan of the late Anne Rice's books back in the day. Female horror authors are still all too rare. And when you have one who not only carefully built her own world and mythology independent of most other vampire lore, and we love world building on IFB, but to also have had such a prolific author too, well, she deserves respect. And I know she would be quite happy with what they've done with her work here. As we discussed last time, they have made some significant changes to the timelines, some character ages and locations. I thought this would irk me a lot more than it does, but it has all been done so very well that I completely understand the logic behind it. My biggest and, well, possibly only quibble is that there's a lot of sex going on here in the books, and it's quite clear that vampires don't have sex, nor do they eat or drink, but that's another story. So there's this misconception from the TV series that her work in the vampire genre is all sexy vampires seducing their victims and each other. And in the books, that's just not the case. But be that as it may, it is a distinction that only hardcore fans would make, and it ultimately doesn't take away that much from the rest of the show. This season has gone all out to bring the rest of Anne's first book, Interview with the Vampire, to its horrifying and heartbreaking conclusion. I cannot say enough about the actors. Jacob Anderson's Louis is achingly precious in this role. Sam Reed's Lestat is a dream come true, with slightly less screen time this season, but don't worry, we'll talk about that later. Delaney Hayes' Claudia is a firecracker. Eric Bogosian as Daniel, the interviewer in question, is at the top of his game. But this season's standouts are Asad Zaman as my favorite character from the books, Armand, and the always phenomenal Ben Daniels, who steals every scene as the oh-so-significant Santiago. They have hit every beat here, all the highs and lows. I won't give anything away, but that last episode, whoa. Stellar reviews out there, guys. Some of the best reviews I have seen all year. And there's only one episode left. So go back and watch them all if you haven't yet. And here's the really good news. They have officially been renewed for a third season. And we're moving. Yeah. And get this, Pete. They are adapting Anne's best book in the series that has never been adapted before, The Vampire Lestat. So,
whoa!
I am giddy with excitement.
Chris, how do you feel about that?
That's just
well. Here's the thing. I was never into Anne Rice at all.
Okay.
I haven't read any of the books. I know very little about the universe. Like I always learn whenever I listen to Tiny Bean, I always learn more about what's going on out there. This is always fascinating to me. I might go and watch now. The Vampire Chronicles. Now I might go and watch season 1. The thing for me is they're all too good looking.
I know, right?
They're all too good looking to be believable. I mean, that's and I think as a custodian of Dracula, I always have an issue with vampires looking too good. But you know what? You've sold me on taking a look. I'm maybe grabbing the first book. Right?
Oh, great! The first book is. I mean,
the first book is.
Binged them all 100 times. The first book is so good. You really get into the mythology and the world building that she has created in the second book, in The Vampire Lestat, which is what they are adapting now into the third season. But the first book, and you'll see if you watch the series, I would say read the book first. I always say that, but and you'll see all the differences that they made with timelines and what have you. But it's really good. And she does make a point, I know, in The Vampire Lestat when she's talking more about the origin of vampires in her universe. And her universe is so meticulously laid out, and it's very, very expansive. And she explains that one of the trends in the vampire world was to only make immortal vampires out of beautiful people.
Okay.
That was part
of
the
aesthetic.
Thing. It's an aesthetic. You're going to live forever. You're an art. Yeah. So, and like I said, it's a totally different, totally unique spin on any other kind of vampire world. I mean, the first book came out in the 70s, and so many different, things and movies and TV shows have all like spun off of, I think, Anne's world because it's easy to play with. Oh, there's beautiful people. Let's play with that. But it's a lot more than that.
Have you seen the trailer for Nosferatu?
Yes.
Nosferatu film.
Holy cow, that looks so good.
That's something I'm really looking forward to. I've always loved, Count Orlok and the was it Shadow of the Vampire was the film that Willem Dafoe was in. And then just going back to Tulsa King, that's been one of my favorite television shows.
I feel
I'm a big Stallone fan.
loves it. Across every every genre and every type of person I've talked to. I'm like, have you watched Tulsa King? And everybody loves it. So
Yeah, he's and look, hey, Beverly Hills Cop, I'm in.
yeah, come
I'm
on.
in. This was just you're just talking about hit after hit after hit, all the things I want to now watch. And I hope I get some time. I'm actually going to take some time off writing for a month. So
really?
I'm going to have lots of things to catch up with.
Oh,
So,
heck yeah. Hey,
yeah.
if you haven't seen The Fall Guy, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's really good. So
Mhm.
the Tipsy Toaster watched it. I had gotten the heads up from Eric Larson himself. He'd quickly sent me a message. We went back and forth. He was going to go to the premiere, and we're going to have him on the show, and we're going to talk about his experience. So I told him, please take as many pictures. He's like, I don't know if they're going to let me, but I'll do my best. And I think he did a good job of it. And then it took me a few weeks to go watch it. I saw it in the movies with my wife, and I'm glad that I did it. And it was fantastic. So for those of us that we grew up watching the old show, there's plenty of Easter eggs throughout. And if you never watched the old show, I mean, it still plays perfectly. It was really well done. I really enjoyed it. So recommended, Chris.
Yeah.
Recommended.
I'll grab that because I've been watching original Battlestar as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
was talking to Eric about that,
Oh, yeah.
watching original Battlestar, and we have an already. Pete, you and I and Tipsy have a little Battlestar project ongoing as well.
That's
We'll
right.
talk about in a later thing. But can we talk about Tiny Bean? Can we talk about one more show?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Have you been watching The Boys? Do you follow The Boys?
I am so far behind. I need to catch up. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an incredible show. Now,
It is.
I would say go and read the comics first.
Okay.
And they're not for the faint of heart.
No.
They're written by a friend of mine, Garth Ennis. Garth comes from
Love
Shankill Road,
Garth Ennis.
and Garth's doing a run at the minute of with Marvel. It's called Get Fury, and it's about Nick Fury and Frank Castle, and the whole story is it's set in Vietnam. It's going back into their history together.
Oh, interesting.
And how they met each other, and essentially Fury gets captured by the Viet Cong, and Castle's tasked to go and kill Fury, in case he gives any details away to the Viet Cong. So it's a really good, and it's a typical Garth Ennis balls out, hyper masculine. And he's not afraid of offending people. He writes without fear, and what you get with the comic book is a lot of that, which translates quite well into the television show. I know some people are looking at it and saying, "Well, it's quite violent," but it's violence done. It's violence done with a sort of satirical eye. But yeah, season 4 is very, very good. Very powerful.
I'm 3 episodes in, so that's where I'm at. And it is. It's incredible as usual. And the cast is phenomenal. It's it's raw. It's definitely raw. It's kept its that part of itself true. So they're not holding back. So if you saw the first season, right, that's second season, you're getting more of that. The story continues. It's good. But there's this other one that this other show that it's a Korean based show that I stumbled on by accident called The Glory. It's about bullying and revenge, and it's really good, really, really well done. It's almost a little bit like not quite, I'd say like not Mission Impossible, but it has elements of manipulation on a grand scheme. So it's more like maybe Stingray or Equalizer from the 80s, where people owe you, and then it gets collected on, and it's phenomenal. So it's out there. I thought it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. So for anyone that might be interested, I just want to throw that out.
That sounds fantastic. I was a huge fan of Garth Ennis's Preacher. the graphic novels. I watched the series a little bit, but it was good, but it wasn't the books to me. So
the guy who's illustrating Dark Legacies, Glenn Fabry, he did Preacher. He illustrated Preacher. So like I was out drinking with Glenn. Oh God, a couple of years ago, and we talked about Preacher. We talked about this Preacher TV show uses some of Glenn's artwork, and but it's again, Garth's one of my. If I ever lose my way and when I'm writing, I go back to Garth and look what Garth did, and he's a great touchstone for me. But Tara, if there's one show we should be watching this week, what's the one show recommendation that you would give us to watch this week?
Oh my goodness, that's so hard. There's so much going on. I know I mentioned it briefly, but the second season of House of the Dragon, if you haven't started it, go jump in and start that one, because that was insane. I'm going to, again, save that for later in the season, because I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about when it's over. There's only been 2 episodes so far, but it's fantastic. If you were into nostalgia and you want to see something like heartwarming and fun, I think I mentioned this the last time I was on, but check out on Netflix Remembering Gene Wilder. It's a documentary on Gene Wilder that is just absolutely beautiful. And I don't think anybody in our age range can think of Gene Wilder and not smile. So if you're looking for a reason to smile, that's something you should check out as well.
He's one of the best Willy Wonkas. He nailed
Absolutely.
that very sinister, like even when he comes out and he's a cripple, and then the stick and he somersaults. It's, you don't know what's coming next. And I love that tunnel scene. And they've never been able to better that. But that was a very sinister sort of, we didn't know where anything was going here. Is everybody going to die? And that was what it was all. And he played that wonderfully, because he had the comedic timing, but very, very sinister acting there. And I mean, of course, then everybody's seen the Mel Brooks stuff, right? Hear No Evil, See No Evil is one of my favorites. And it doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm definitely going to check that out.
Well, Tiny Bean, thank you very, very much as usual. Love your reports and updates. Look forward to the next one, of course. And so keep up the good work. I know. So what's going on with performing arts? I know that you were involved with a program of some sort. Any updates on that?
Well, we've always got exciting things going on up here, and I'm those of you who don't know, I'm up in the Adirondack Mountains, up just a little south of Canada, up here in New York. Summer season is hitting, so I've got all my camps starting in the next couple of weeks, and very exciting stuff there. And I am actually going down. I'm going to be in the city. Pete, I don't know if you'll be around by then, but I'm going to be in the city towards the end of July. I got accepted into the American Ballet Theater Teacher Training Program. So
congratulations!
I'm going to do that.
Excellent.
So I can help train my little dancers at our dance school. So very exciting.
That is so cool. Congratulations! I know that you had that up, but I wanted you to bring it up. I didn't want to. So that is so cool. I know that you had dance in your background from way back in the day. So congratulations, upwards and onwards. Here's to you, Tara. Thank you for doing what you do. You're a valued member of IFB. So
thank you. It's my pleasure to be here as always, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. I'll be watching.
Thank you, T. Appreciate it. All right. So let's see. I think that our guest is he was on for a second, I think, and he's back. Excellent. All right. So, guys, there's 1 degree of separation, Dr. Chris, from you and our guest. Because Everett Burrell he's involved in film and television. He's been doing it for 35 years.
Wow.
And he does special effects, creature effects, special visual effects, been doing it basically all his life. It's his passion, He's, from what I understand, he's a big sci-fi guy, and we're going to test him on it. We're going to bring it up. He's going to mention it. And he's a member of the Directors Guild of America, the DGA, Motion Picture Academy, Television Academy, and the Visual Effects Society. And he's done some really cool TV and film, going all the way to, like, I mentioned it with Tiny Bean, Buckaroo Banzai, one of my favorite back in the day movies, still is. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up our guest. Everett, welcome to IFB, Interfleet Broadcasting. How are you?
Hey, team. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
You know, I always, you know, like, what do you say when you finally meet somebody that's heavily involved in, you know, your favorite shows from Umbrella Academy, Babylon 5, you know, all of these movies, Pan's Labyrinth. It's just insane. But welcome to the show, and we're gonna have you, you know, describe a little bit of, you know, what it was like and getting in. Chris, do you have any quick side comments?
Yeah, it's just incredible to meet you, Everett. I mean, you know, the work you've done is amazing. You know, and we're all, you know, once we start talking about it, everybody's going to be familiar with the shows that you've worked on. So, you know, this to me, this is just fascinating.
No, I'm honored to be here, man. I really am. And Chris, I am Scottish.
Good man. Well, I'm Irish. So there's another degree of separation. There's not much.
You know, so
there's not much.
Just so there's no competition here. I am Scottish, anyways. But no, I'm so honored to be on the show, and any questions, please feel free to ask. I have so much memories left, not much, but some memories left to share with you.
Fantastic. Everett, before we get into it too far, too deep, I always like to acknowledge those that take the time out to watch us live. We get sometimes, you know, 20,000, 30,000 views in rerun or syndication after we put the show to rest. But those that jump on and off, we have Sean Shallow. He runs the Battlestar bulletin board on social media. Paul Roder is also from the Colonial Warriors and other social media. Karen is with us, and Mediocre Modeler, who has his own show. He does models and props and the like, actually award winner as well. Ed Hale, the ambassador, professional musician and outspoken, you know, a champion of civil rights, is with us as well. Thank you, Ed, for joining us, and everybody else, Susan and all the rest of you guys. You know what to do. Put up a quick little something up there so we can recognize you. Everett, what's it been like from you know, starting out and then getting to, I mean, you know, you've gotten to some very high places. You've been nominated for many awards. You've won some. So what was it like starting out?
Man, it was an incredible journey. I went to Cal Arts in California to sort of start my career in animation, because I thought that's how it worked. That if you wanted to get in visual effects, you had to be in animation, and I wanted to be a Disney animator. So I got accepted to Cal Arts, and spent about a month there. But my summer job was working for Roger Corman.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy.
I was doing all these low budget horror films for Roger. And one day he crossed me in the hallway. He goes, "Hey, I heard you're doing a good job for us. What are your future plans?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to college at Cal Arts." He goes, "Well, how about you take the year off and work for me?" And that would probably be a better education. So I took a sort of a gap year and went to work for Roger and never went back.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun.
I happened to take one of his, you know, his classes that he had put together back in, like, you know, I don't know, 15, almost 20 years ago. Roger Corman was putting out these, you know, how to be a filmmaker classes. And I took it, and it's, you know, I don't know, like 20, 30 hours of him lecturing, and it's phenomenal stuff. Unbelievable. I mean, it's Roger Corman. It's like, how, you know, he one of the, you know, one of the greatest filmmaker, indie, you know, what is it like? Almost like low budget, the king of low budget movies, and a lot of them are fun. I mean, they're campy and stuff, but they're great. So which ones did you work on?
It was like, I think Planet Terror or one of those weirdo sci-fi. Like, I was going in the door as James Cameron was going out the door.
Wow.
And that's kind of how close we passed each other.
Wow.
And I was in the prop and miniature department a little bit. And then I got hired by a friend of mine who was working for Charlie Band. And Charlie Band did like Ghoulies and Troll and Dungeon Master and all those 80 cheesy films. And that's really where I got my start. And, God bless Roger. I kind of missed the college experience, but he saved me. At the time, CalArts was $10,000 a year. That's nothing today. It's
exactly
$60,000 a year.
Yeah,
plus books and housing, right? So I had a really great time sort of learning the ropes through all these low budget films. And God bless Roger for sure for helping me on that path. But so I went from Charlie Band, and then I did a great film, and a good friend of mine, God bless him, he's no longer with us, helped me get on this show called Day of the Dead with Tom Savini. And that was this great, seminal zombie sequel to Dawn of the Dead. I grew up on Dawn of the Dead. It was such a big deal to me to meet that team and meet Romero and all the Pittsburgh crew, Greg Nicotero, John Vulich, Mike Tursick, all these amazing artists and people who became lifelong friends. And that set me on the path to creature effects and prop making and miniatures and that kind of stuff. And that was an amazing career that I love. But I transitioned from makeup effects to visual effects in 1995.
Wow. And then, of course, I mean, you didn't only focus on television, movies, you went into television.
Yep.
And just one of them, which I happened to back then be a big fan of, was Babylon 5.
Yes.
And so you were involved for a while. What was it that you were exactly doing for that?
So a great story. Me and my partner, my company, Optic Nerve, had done the Roger Corman version of Fantastic Four, which is legendary.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
We built the thing, suit and mechanical head for that film. And I brought that head with all the servos and motors to an interview with John Copeland and Doug Netter, who was the sort of executive producers of Babylon 5. And they had done a pilot, but it had not gone to series yet. So I brought that head and I made it talk and I made it move. And they were so impressed that about, 7 hours later, I went to go see a movie and I went home and I checked my voice machine. Remember voice machines?
Oh, absolutely.
And I pushed the button and John Copeland said, "We're hired."
Wow.
So it was just like that. It was no agents. There was no contracts. It was just like, "Hey man, we love your work. Can you start on Tuesday?" kind of thing. Wow. So Babylon 5 was a incredible, passion for science fiction television that we wanted to give back, like Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, all those films that I grew up on, shows I grew up on. Me and my partner, John Vulich, really wanted to kind of give back to that sort of genre. So it was an amazing run. We had a blast. It was really hard. We lived through a huge earthquake in 1994 in Northridge. So it was a lot of fun, but a lot of tears.
Wow, that's incredible. So were you involved in the entire series, talking about B5, or was it the first few seasons, I think?
So what happened was John Vulich and I had a huge argument one day about digital effects. And I was working with Ron Thornton, who was doing the visual effects on the show. And I was sculpting and digitizing our creatures to give to Ron to animate. And I told John I thought this was the future of our business. And John and I had a fist fight in our shop, literally fist fight.
Whoa.
And I said, you know what? I believe this is the future. If you don't want to go with me, so be it. So I left.
Wow.
He had to buy me out, and I went to go work on Hercules and Xena at Universal for like 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
We have Everett, if you haven't caught on, Dr. Chris McAuley is our guest co-host. Usually, it's the Tipsy Toaster, Chris Moore. I swapped Chris's. Chris Moore is on location getting ready to be married. And so I asked Dr. Chris to step in, and he kindly accepted. But he's watching from the forest somewhere. I think he's at the national park, I believe, or hopefully not. But either way, he's put up a quick question, and I just wanted to throw that out to you.
Yeah,
What do you think about the newer use of video walls and Unreal Engine?
I think it has its place. I think it works really well. Like Mandalorian uses it really well when they shoot real footage of a desert or like Utah or Lake Powell, and they put that on the wall. It looks amazing. But when you try to use an all CG environment on the wall, your brain immediately doesn't realize it's real. It thinks it's fake. And that's been a challenge for everyone using the wall. And every time they use it, if it's not real photography, it has to be fixed later. And I'm talking in the millions of fixes.
Wow.
So the in camera, what they call final pixel, is a little bullshit.
Oh,
a little bullshit. But if it's based on photography of a real location, that you can get final pixel totally.
Okay. All right. Well, a little insider information. I know Dr. Chris is very familiar with Unreal Engine as well. We just happen, the Tipsy Toaster and I happen to be working on a project, and he's incorporating it into a short film that actually Dr. Chris is now co-executive producing. So we'll have that out soon enough for festivals. It's a showcase. And we'll see how that goes. So,
the tips I would give you is that it works best when it's slightly out of focus.
Okay.
And you use depth of field. If you go to a wide shot and you keep that volume completely in focus, you're gonna have to do a little love to it in post.
Oh, all right. Well, and there you go, Tipsy Toaster. I hope you heard that. If you didn't, go back into the rerun and pick that all up, man, because you're gonna use that on your editing, because we're down to the last scene on what we're doing. But that's beside the point. So Everett, let me go back to I want to highlight a little bit of this, and this is. I just picked a few of these. You've done a lot more, and we'll bring those up. But I saw Battle Los Angeles when it opened up, right? The premiere day. I saw it. I was like, wow, this is great. I went with a group of friends. Fantastic. And you also, the Altered Carbon, that first season was just phenomenal. I mean, everybody that saw it loved it. And I hope you're getting that feedback. Of course, The Mist is another great movie. And like I said, I just happened to pick a few of these. And if you would, maybe you can, tell us a little bit about, your role in these great films.
Yeah, no, as we talked about Babylon 5, I was the head of makeup effects for the first 2 seasons, but I still owned the company for the entire run. So I didn't have a lot of input after the second season, but John and I, after our fist fight,
which you won. I know you won.
Well, it was a pretty good one. But I can tell you that the respect was the love and the respect as brothers was still there. And I was called in quite a bit. Many late nights over a bottle of scotch trying to solve problems for Mr. Straczynski on Babylon 5. But after that, I eventually ended up at a company called Cafe FX in Santa Maria, California, where we did Pan's Labyrinth. And it was a very very fortunate to be the VFX supervisor on that in Madrid, Spain, with Guillermo del Toro, his amazing DP, Guillermo Navarro. And, it was, 2006. I was single. I was loving life. It was amazing. It was Spain. It was the summer. I learned so much from both Del Toro and Navarro. We definitely bonded. It was such a small, low budget film. We would carry cables up the hill for the grips. It was a very mutual love of this sort of storytelling and a great script. And what a great location. We were up in San Rafael, outside of Madrid. Gorgeous locations. But yeah, no, it was an amazing project. I knew it was something special when we were shooting it, and when we got back to editorial, I knew it was even very, very going to be a prominent film in Guillermo's career.
Fantastic. I mean, it's still, it's a cult classic. Incredible stuff. And then just, what other project from those times kind of still stands out? Do you think that really, helped you in some way?
Well, after Pan's Labyrinth, The Mist with Frank Darabont was a lot of fun. It was, again, my good friend Greg Nicotero was the sort of makeup effect supervisor on the show. We had known each other since, Day of the Dead. But the problem with that show is so low budget that, Greg tried to make all these puppets to articulate and move. And Frank wanted to shoot it very dynamically, like an episode of The Shield, right? All handheld on skate dollies. And the puppets just weren't reacting in the way I think that Frank wanted. So Frank asked us to replace a lot of the puppets. No offense to Greg by any means. It was just they weren't giving Frank the vibe. And I regret replacing all that stuff. I wish we would have stuck to some more of the practical puppets, but the director is the king.
Absolutely. I just want to acknowledge award-winning filmmaker George Zuvalos has dropped in. Thank you for joining us, George. Appreciate you stopping in. We also have Battlestar Galactica Fan Club. Thank you for joining us as well. Mediocre Modeler has a question for you. He noticed your models in the back there, and he wants to know a little bit about that stuff. Yes. What is that? Are those homemade? Are those movie pieces
some are
or
kits that I built? But some are the Star Ace Harryhausen. I'm a huge Harryhausen fan, so I'll pan around. Here we go. We can see some of my shelves here, and then over here you can see my shelves there, and the stuff that I have here in my little case. But yeah, no, it's my workshop in my garage, and I love that stuff. I still build models, and I love doing that. It's sort of my passion. Off hours, and I love surrounding myself about all the stuff that I kind of grew up in as a kid, my famous monsters and my dinky toys, my corgis.
Yes, dinky. Oh yeah.
Wait, that's me. Here we go, right here. Look at that. There you go.
Oh, sweet. Oh man, I'll tell you, I had the privilege of meeting Harry at a convention here in New York City 35 years ago, and what a gentleman. It was after a panel he was doing, and it was a medium-sized convention, so he came down from the panel, and there was a display case with the original pieces that he had from the various movies, and I actually got to talk to him for a few minutes. Like he'd done the panel, so I guess all the fans had moved on, and not a lot of people recognize the guy. So I spent some time with him, talking to him. Great man. It was incredible to actually see the stuff and have the maestro himself, explaining some of them. It was just incredible. Great movies.
Yeah, no, I met him when I was 12. The fact that he took that much time out of his day, to give back to the fans, that is huge.
Yes,
so huge, because I grew up on those films. I loved him so much. As a 12-year-old, I tried to articulate the best I could to him, and I asked him, "So, what are they made of?" He goes, "Well, they're made of foam rubber, and they're chemicals you have to mix, and you have to, foam up and inject and bake in an oven. Like, he's talking crazy talk, right? And then later on, that's all I did was inject latex into molds. But no, he was such a wonderful man and such a great artist and such an inspiration to legions of us. And I'm so proud to have met him. And it's, obviously he was 90 plus when he passed away, but gosh darn it, what a loss and what a great man.
Oh, absolutely. Concur. I was curious to know a little bit about your participation in Prometheus.
So I was hired by Wedded Digital to be one of their on-set supervisors, and it was a great honor to go to Pinewood and meet Ridley and be on set. I mean, the film is a little in my opinion in terms of story, but god dang, it looks amazing, and it was amazing being on set with him and watching his process. We spent one day, and I kid you not, with Michael Fassbender on set, kind of walking around the sort of alien observatory and looking at holograms while Ridley played Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon at full blast. with four techno cranes going around just shooting stuff. And at 5 o'clock, Ridley would get in his Mercedes and drive off to tennis every day. So I go, where's Ridley? He goes, well, that's a wrap. If you see Ridley going off in his Mercedes, that means that we're done.
You're done. I know that Chris McAuley has a soft spot for Aliens and the franchise.
I do, yeah. I've worked, done a bit of writing in it. But I really like Prometheus, actually. I've watched it recently and really enjoyed it. Actually, I like the mythic themes, but I mean, the visuals were just fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, gorgeous.
They really were. You did an incredible job on that. And the storytelling with the visuals, very, very powerful.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap. It really does. I think it didn't follow. I mean, you got Alien, you have Aliens, right? Both incredibly iconic films, and they're hard to follow in a lot of ways. So I have a lot of hopes for Alien Romulus, which is coming out soon.
Yeah,
I'm very excited by that. But yeah, that's a tough act to follow in a lot of ways. But on both films, they're both. I saw Alien when it got re-released just recently,
right,
in the theater with my brother-in-law, and my God, it's still just incredible.
Because you don't see the creature. I think that's the thing, right? So it's always that you're not seeing the full creature anytime.
Yep.
And there's a wonderful moment near the end of the film where the tail is just going up. Forget the name of the lady, the character, but the tail's going up, and you don't know whether the alien's going to kill her or fuck her or do both. Yeah. And there's a very powerful psychosexual phenomenon with the alien because of how Giger crafted the creature. But Prometheus, to me, what I did was I didn't watch it as an alien film. I didn't tell my wife it was an alien film, and we watched it. And it was that slow, there's a slow build of dread in that film that culminates and culminates and culminates. And whenever you realize, and I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but when you realize that David is actually the bad guy, and that David has, psychopathic tendencies as an android, very interesting. And then it's not Prometheus. I think it's the next one where they have the motif of Wagner and the entry of the gods into Valhalla. Maybe it is Prometheus, but there's that whole concept that David is trying to be a god.
Yeah.
So I loved it, Everett. I thought it was an amazing piece of cinema.
I think you're the only one.
No. As a matter of fact, Ed Hale just said Prometheus equals great looking film. I agree with Chris as well. I think that it's, visually it's incredible. And I'll tell you that my reaction to what was going on and the manipulation and, this whole power thing that went on, I was like, I reacted to it. I was like, what is he doing? He's getting back and he's destroying his civilization. He's getting, it's this revenge thing. And I got into it. And every time I watch it, I'm the same thing. I get that reaction. So I admire Everett when I watch something that gets me to react, right? It says something to me like, oh, they wrote something, they performed it, the visuals. I'm not removed. If I get dragged into it, even after I've watched it second time, something's right. So it was good.
The creature design in Prometheus was, again, I thought it was quite unique.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever the creature comes out of they called the engineers, whenever that creature comes out of the engineer and stuff like that, it's like, wow.
It's good stuff.
That was those beats hit quite well with me, but it is vastly different from Alien 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
All of that's very, very different. So if you're going in looking for the same beats and the same themes,
yeah,
you might have been put off a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Romulus. We'll see how that goes.
Cool. It was, again, that set was, I used to roam around that set when they weren't on the stage, on the main Pinewood, the 007 stage, to take reference photos, and just crawling through those tubes by myself was amazingly creepy.
Cool. Well, that says something, right? Wow.
And then my good friend Charles, who does the documentaries for a lot of, he did the Blade Runner documentary that's super famous, and he also did all the stuff for Prometheus. Ridley was taking publicity photos in front of the space jockey chair, and I was taking reference and scans at the same time. So we stepped away to let Ridley take his publicity photo in front of the space jockey, and then he left, and Charlie and I snuck our 2 photos of us standing in front of the space jockey, the only ones that anybody has in the world. I took his, he took mine. It was just the most awesome thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
And when I was in high school, there was a museum in Irvine that would receive the mother control room from the first Alien.
Oh,
as a donation, right? So I was called by my science teacher because, hey, this museum's looking for volunteers to help sort of put this thing together and like restore it, make sure it all works. Are you interested? I'm like, hell yeah. So I remember they taking the bus like 2 hours to Irvine, even though I only live 20 minutes away, to get to this museum and helping them restore it and put it together. And it was just fascinating. I showed Ridley that photo of me sitting at 16 years old in the mother control chair. And he just, his brain went exploded. It was funny. It was super funny. But yeah, Ridley was amazing. An amazing director, an amazing experience. I wish it was better received, but hey, that's showbiz.
That's right. Well, there's luckily the fans, are supportive, and we want more, obviously. So let's see what comes out of the next one. Before we get too far into the other things that you've done, Everett, I want to ask you a couple of questions. One of them is, looking back, growing up, what were some of the shows that influenced you? I'll tell you that for me, the original Star Trek, Carl Kolchak,
yep,
the Night Stalker, Planet of the Apes, right? Were 3 big, before, we get to Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars in the 70s, but those earlier ones were 3 big shows that, I was like, wow. And when Westworld, the movie, came out, was like, what the heck is going on? And Logan's Run, we'll throw in Logan's Run. What about yourself?
You're hitting a lot of the same beats. We had in California, we had a UHF channel called Channel 52. And on there was Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer, Three Stooges, Little Rascals, Thunderbirds, and UFO. So those were, and they were on in the afternoon. And I remember our TV couldn't change channel. It had a sonic remote. You had to jingle the keys to change the channel. I mean, my children have no clue what I'm talking about. But yes, Kolchak for sure. Trilogy of Terror. Oh my God, incredible. Duel, Steven Spielberg's original film on TV. All those movies, all those shows were so influential growing up. Even the original MASH was great. But yes,
Oh, yeah.
Star Trek, the original series, huge influence. Absolutely. I mean, incredible. It was on reruns every day here in California on Channel 5. Every day.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Chris, your turn. Come on. I know you have a bunch of
Well, you did ask. That was the question. One of the questions I was going to ask. I was going to ask another one as well. If you had a dream project, right? So taking everything that you've done aside, and I could offer you a dream project, full control over it, what would it be?
Boy, I think either the Michael Moorcock books, Eric Elric, of Melibene, the Stormbringer books, I would love to be involved with. Unfortunately, I think The Witcher sort of stole that thunder because it's almost the same character.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great stuff like Larry Niven, Ringworld, I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But there's a great book that I love. It's called The Stainless Steel Rat by Harry Harrison, which I think is really, really great. Those books would be phenomenal to make. Yeah, you get it, New York Pete. You get it, Stainless Steel Rat. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah! I got it on the shelf. I got them right up there.
Stainless Steel Rat. I would kill to make that as a show. But there's a lot of great epic fantasy stuff that I want to give back so much to Ray. And there's so many levels like the Iliad, the Odyssey, but there's a great book called Circe that was going to be made into a miniseries. This amazing writer, I can't remember her name. I apologize, but she wrote Circe and Achilles, and they're sort of a modern take on their lives, and they're both absolutely amazing books. Circe, especially, just the gods and the humans and the monsters and all that would be absolutely amazing to do.
So I find that there's a real lack of mythic storytelling.
Yeah,
like there's a real lack of it, and we need it. We in our society we need mythic storytelling. I really rail against all these fucking reality shows and all the vacuous crap that we see and it's churned out on a basis. Where I would love to see those kind of things, that have real meaning, real depth to them. So
that's why I think Game of Thrones, the new season, is just phenomenal. Yeah. It's so epic.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. I would love to be involved.
Yeah. I want to recognize Shane is on with us. Chris, Shane is someone that's actually publishing your line of comic books. So thank you, Shane, for joining.
Chris, good to see you, mate. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you. He's over in the UK, and I know there's that challenge in time. But Shane, thank you very much for coming on. We're going to talk about some of the campaigns that you're involved in. I know that there is a whole bunch of, so we're going to bring all that stuff up. So Shane, I know if you can't stay, we'd like you to, but I know that, the time thing is a little bit of a challenge, but thank you for jumping on. Appreciate it. So Everett, there's still a lot of things that you've been involved in. I mean, never mind the fact that Umbrella Academy is you're currently you're still involved, right?
Yeah, we just finished the 4th season, like the 2nd week of April.
Wow!
And then I went to do some consulting work for another studio, and I hope to go back to Netflix soon. So there's a little bit of a pause in the industry because of the threat of the strike.
Okay,
it's going on with IATSE. So I think it's all going to work out. I don't think there's going to be a huge tragedy like it was last year, which really devastated the business.
Right.
I think IATSE and the Teamsters are all working their stuff out with the producers, and I think it's all going to be good news by the end of July. So I was very lucky to get some consulting work over at 20th Century Studios on some amazing films. Obviously, I can't talk about, but super fun stuff. But yeah, no, I'm excited for either to work with 20th or Netflix or whatever studio provides something cool and interesting.
Fantastic. Sci fiction, Owen Cotter, a colleague of ours that also streams, has a phenomenal show with, I think it's over 150,000 followers. Thank you, Owen, for joining us. We're here live with Everett Burrell, who is a incredible individual involved in all aspects of some of the coolest TV and films that we've all watched. Senior visual effects supervisor, co-executive producer, second unit director, recent projects, Umbrella Academy, and we've been going through a whole bunch of those. If you missed any, please go ahead and rewatch. Someone that is very well spoken. Everett, we get a lot of guests. We've been doing this. We have hundreds and hundreds of interviews in the can, and it's a pleasure when we get someone who is articulate and passionate about what they do, like you are. It makes a difference, and you're a fan, of course. Another element.
Huge fan.
Love it, just like we are. So I mean, you're still in the business, you're still doing things. Do you represent your own company or yourself, or how does it work out now these days?
So I have a corporation which I'm called a loan out. So the studios hire me, and I'm lent out through my corporation.
Okay.
To the various studios. So right now it's a band of one, but I think I have to be responsible for all these companies that are made of hundreds and hundreds of people. Weta Digital, Folks VFX, Spin, Mars, Cosa, all these amazing companies that we work with on the final season of Umbrella Academy, which I would love to tell you all about, but it's super secret, the final season. It comes out, I think, August 8th, and I'm beyond proud of what we did. And it's
cool.
It's such a love letter to all the things we just talked about in terms of science fiction and Harryhausen and all that amazing stuff. I think you guys will tap into it, especially the final episode. You'll absolutely totally get what I'm talking about.
Oh, cool. I've watched all of it. I was on top. I was binging it right when it first came out. And then, all the way up until the last, and I thought it was great the way, the kind of like, it was almost like a wrap on it, the last season. Yeah. So it's interesting to see how they, what they're going to do. So, August coming up, not too long from now.
Agreed. We thought it was done on third season, but they renewed it for a fourth season. It's it's only 6 episodes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it wraps things up, I think, in a way that the fans will really love.
Wow. Chris, anything that you want to jump right in?
Yeah, just fascinated with the Babylon 5 stuff because I've got a personal sort of connection to the cast there. Have you got any really strong memories to do with Babylon 5 and your time there?
A lot, yeah. No, the first season was weird. As you know, the commander was replaced.
Yeah.
In the second season, there's a lot of politics behind the scenes on that show, and I don't know why. The weird one was we were non-union in LA for the first 2 seasons, and then it went union.
Wow.
And it became a really big deal. But yeah, we were kind of under the radar, and then we beat Star Trek. We won the Emmy and beat Star Trek, which was unheard of.
Yep.
A non-union show, low budget, beat Star Trek, The Next Generation. Yeah, we were blown away. Yeah, I'm still shocked that we won. But yeah, there was a lot of makeups, a lot of long hours. We were trying to sort of outdo our competition in a way that really kind of hurt us physically and mentally. I think we were working too hard to try to make something. But, we got rewarded by an Emmy. We got rewarded by a lot of accolades, but it burnt us out. I got burnt out real quick.
It all stands up today. I mean, I did a recent rewatch. Generally, every year I do a rewatch, and it all stands up.
Thanks, man. And I miss Ron Thornton. Ron Thornton was our visual effects guru. He was one of my dearest friends in the world. He passed a few years ago. But that technology, the video toaster and the light wave and all that stuff, which I still use today to do research and R&D and look dev, is just phenomenal. And I don't think Ron and that team gets enough credit where credit is due, sort of pioneering the visual effects for television. And we're talking cheap television. Babylon 5 was a cheap show, just so you know.
Yeah, it was like Amiga 1200, I think, was used for rendering the CGI and stuff like that. I mean, that's yeah.
Dude, I remember when I got 2 megs of RAM, it was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So Everett, what did you happen to have? Were you able to how close to the cast do you get based on where you're coming from? Do you really get to work with them at all?
Yeah, Andreas Katsoulis, who played Jakar, and I were very good friends. I did his makeup for the first season.
Wow.
Exclusively. Peter Jurassic, who played Lando, just all the main cast were thespian professionals beyond belief. Like stagecraft, amazing actors who knew their lines, take after take after take, and it would get better with each take. So
wow.
I cannot express my love for that amazing cast and how patient they were beating makeup chairs at 4 a.m. and doing a 12-hour day and then taking it off. I mean, that is a grind. Star Trek will admit it. Deep Space Nine will admit it. Every show that has prosthetics on a TV schedule, it's incredibly taxing on your physical and mental abilities.
Do you think that it's gotten easier to do any of that stuff, or is it as complicated as it's ever been?
I think no matter what, if you put something on an actor, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
It just is. But that also is the magic of that. When you put a prosthetic on an actor, like look at Roddy McDowall in Planet of the Apes. I mean, look at the magic he brought.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, just that's where AI can't replace this stuff. It just can't. It just that there's a human nature and a soul in a performance that I'm gonna go off the chart here, but AI can't touch it. It just can't.
No, right. You're right. I agree.
Yeah. And I think if we were looking at Babylon 5, if you look at the Jakar makeup and all of that, you're still very much drawn to the actor's eyes.
Yeah.
If you watch it back, you can see what Andreas is doing with the eyes. It's there. We see he's Narn. But the eyes are and how you did, because you still give the actors enough expression. The expression was there with Jakar. Yeah. The anger. And you see, that's the thing with Jakar and Lando's story.
Yeah.
That you had to have that level of emotional intensity that could come through the actor's face. And again, you were able to do that. I mean, this is why I think Babylon 5 is one of the most, it's a perfect show. Not just because of the writing, it's to do with the actors, it's to do with visual effects, it's to do with the makeup team. It was perfect. It was so well balanced.
Yeah, great cast, great writing, a lot of, it was weird. I remember that, Deep Space Nine came out right around the same time, and there was like this weird, like, what the hell happened? Who leaked what? How did that? I still hear legends that Joe tells about someone leaked Babylon 5 to Paramount, and it became Deep Space Nine, and on and on and on. But I think Deep Space Nine stole a bit of our thunder. But I love the fact that fans still love Babylon 5. It means a lot to me. It was a really difficult task. It burned me out pretty quick, but I inherited a ton of props and masks from it that I still have to this day that I love and I keep cherishly. And you might see them pop up in auction occasionally.
Oh, wow. Well, then, this is I guess perfect time to ask if you do you go to conventions? Do you do the shows?
Yes, no, I definitely I did the Living Dead weekend a couple years ago, which was amazing, in Pittsburgh for Night of the Living Dead. the remake, and for the original Night of the Living Dead, which I had done the remake with my partner John Vulich. I worked on Day of the Dead. So there's a whole like zombie Pittsburgh connection that I have that I love, and I love Pittsburgh, and I love that they're like my second family, 1,000,000%. We're going to unfortunately a memorial this weekend at Nicotero's house for one of our artists and one of our great team members who passed away, named Mike Tursick, passed away last year. So we're doing a memorial for him, and I'm really excited to see everybody. It's you only see each other at weddings and funerals nowadays, right?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But if now this is a question from John One, our very own. What would you if this were to happen? I mean, just like everything else, big if with a capital I. If there were a Babylon 5 reboot, would you campaign to be on it, or would you just? I mean, what's your feel on that?
I mean, look, sure, I would love to be involved, but there's a great Steely Dan song. I'm never going back to my old school, right? Or Shaw says it in Robert Shaw says it in Jaws. Quint says, "I'm never putting another life jacket on again." I don't know if I could put that life jacket on again. It's something that it's so near and dear to me that I don't know if I could. I don't know. That's a really tough question. I'd have to have a couple drinks to think about that one.
Well, just to let you know, Everett, I was chatting to Claudia and Pat about you today, and we were chatting about the makeup team and stuff, and it was just everything was there was some very good memories there as well. So I think it was a very special time there for everybody involved.
It was. Again, I was single. You know what I'm saying? It was like I made a lot of mistakes. My wife's upstairs. Hopefully she can't hear me, right, honey?
So Everett, then so this is obviously in the whole narrative timeline of B5. Sci Fiction Owen Cotter wants to know, what did you think of the animated Babylon 5?
I haven't seen it. I'm so sorry. I've not seen it yet. I really do want to take a look at it. I know a lot of people thought that was going to be like the new remake, and then it became an animated thing. So I don't know. Joe has a whole sort of like empire of fans that I'm really not quite sure that whole dynamic. But I haven't seen it yet. I'm so sorry, but that's something on my list, along with the other 12 million streaming shows I missed.
Yeah, there's a thing called work, I think, that sometimes gets in the way. But so Everett, going back to conventions, do you do like you're not going to go to LA Comic-Con later in the year to do a panel or anything? Or
no, I mean, usually it's I have to get a convention agent which books that stuff. Okay. I haven't really done that yet. I only go when I'm invited. It's a big deal. I'll talk to Nicotero on Saturday to talk about that whole, because he does all those conventions, and see what he thinks. But also I got obligations here at home.
Of course.
But I love the fans. I love walking the display rooms. Like Wonderfest is one of my favorite conventions.
Oh yeah,
incredible. Those fans and the model work, because I'm a huge model fan, and looking at those guys and the gals that do all that amazing work, it blows my mind. The attention to detail and things that I worked on, I didn't know what it looked like from behind. We never designed the back of it, and they designed,
excellent.
Like, wow, I didn't know that was the way it was going to be, but hey, I'll roll with it. That's pretty cool.
Well, speaking of effects, then bringing up the Thing, we've gotten to know Von Babson really well, and he's been on our show many times. I don't know if you got a chance to work with him on the Thing, but he was doing a lot of the effects, blowing up the last scene, or I think it was where they blew up the shack or whatever it was, and he brought some pictures and things. And
oh wow, Roy Arbogast. You say Roy Arbogast?
Von Babson. Babson.
Got it. So yeah, no, I never worked on The Thing. One of my favorite movies, but I'm really good friends with Miles Tevis, who was one of Rob's designers for years, and he started on Legend. But Miles has amazing stories. Now, if you can get an interview with Rob Bottin, that would be the coup of the year because no one could find him.
Ah, interesting. So, but these are the things. These are the movies that like me and Chris and our fans that you watched, and were things that kind of inspired you.
Oh yeah, The Thing especially. In fact, I don't want to give anything away, but The Thing was our blueprint for the final episode of Umbrella Academy.
Wow.
You watch the final episode.
Wow.
There's a lot of that.
Wow, that is so cool. Very cool.
At least from my perspective.
Your perspective, right? Of course, this is a personal, just not a professional, but as a fan, you're speaking as a fan.
Yeah, there's a lot of love paid back. I think in the final episode of what's going on. But yeah, it was. I would show everyone like I want the blood or the goo or this or that to look like this. So not to give too much away, but I think you're going to see some amazing stuff.
Well, as a personal aside, going back to Day of the Dead, that was the first horror film I ever saw as a kid.
The Thing?
The Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. Oh wow!
Day of the Dead was the first, and it fucked me up for life, mate. So thanks for that. But yeah, it was a really damn good film. Like I
love George. I love George so much. He was so anti-Hollywood. You have no idea how anti-Hollywood he was.
Wow.
Really, wow. He marched to his own orders, put it that way.
Wow.
I mean, there's a scene in it, and again, I don't really want to put spoilers, but there's a scene in it where the captain meets his end, and I remember watching that going, huh? That was pretty fucking shocking for a 6-year-old to watch.
Oh,
so yeah. But my God, it was great, and I watched it again fairly recently.
Obviously, I don't care if I give it away, but those guts that come out were real pig guts that were in a refrigerator over Christmas break, and the refrigerator breaker blew.
Oh.
So those guts were rancid when we put them inside body cavity. And poor Joe Pilato, the actor, we had to put a menthol under his nose so he wouldn't puke.
Oh wow,
that's how.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, bad news.
That's unbelievable. So, Everett, any chance that you would consider a memoir, your biography, a professional look back and writing of some sort? Is that something that maybe interests you?
Yeah, I've talked to a couple authors who've done interviews with me in the past. Some of them I really, really like. We've talked about it, so that might be something in the future that I would love to do. But it's weird. Like I look back at some of those memories and they make me sad because there's so many people have died,
right?
In my past that were so close to me that it's like really hard to talk about now. It really is because they were so close friends, and I can't believe they're gone. But it's like family, right? Like, where's my uncle? Where's my grandpa? Where's like my mom? They're just gone, and it's hard to dig into those details. The only way I can do it is out of love and respect and sort of telling stories that make them look good now to fans. It's hard to dig into because some of it's bad, some of it's good, right?
Right.
And I don't want to do a tell-all naughty book, but I've worked with a lot of actors that are pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, something to be said for the art that they're able to that's where they tap into. But
I guess so. But
Everett, let's before we wrap, sci fiction has a quick question that I wanna bring up, and it has to do with Altered Carbon, which I'd mentioned earlier was that first season was just mind-blowing, phenomenal. Did you get to meet Joel Kinnaman?
Awesome, incredible, of course, every day. we were in, God, I'm going to say middle of the season, and we were doing the scene where Joel, his clone, and him have a conversation, and the director wanted to do, the great director Peter Orr, who did Last of Us, an incredible director. He wanted to do this shot where Joel and Joel have a cocktail and they clink glasses and they have a 5-minute conversation. Planning that out was just absurd, like so complicated, and Joel was so patient with the process. I cannot speak more highly of Joel Kinnaman as a professional, as a friend, and as a one hell of an actor.
That says a lot. Chris, any last thoughts?
Basically, it's just that it's been a pleasure, Everett. You know, it's been wonderful to hear these stories, to get an insight into your work and the whole industry. And it's just, you know, you guys are you pluck from the ether and make it real. You know, writers write stuff, but you guys actually translate it and turn it into an actuality.
I'm honored. I'm honored that you said that.
You know,
you got to remember, it comes from a place of honor. I'm honoring the people who came before me: Willis O'Brien, Ray Harryhausen, N.C. Wyatt. There's a great model maker named Shepard Payne who did all the dioramas for Monogram model kits. Derek Meddings, all the guys who worked on Thunderbirds and UFO and Space 1999. I mean, I'm paying back what they gave me every day, and I love that that I can pay that back. Hopefully, they can see it. I've gotten a couple good compliments from some of the old gang. I had lunch with John Dykstra a few months ago.
Oh,
and it was such a sweet lunch, and asking him some really great questions, and you know, it's nice to be recognized by your peers, but ultimately it's the fans. It really is. It's the fans who love this stuff, who ask great questions and send me great emails, and I'm so honored, and that's the best, because I'm a fan. I'm a total fan, and I totally get where they're coming from. So salute to fandom, and salute to science fiction, horror, and fantasy, and all the genres. I'm hugely honored to be on this show, and I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, your work has directly influenced me.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yes, Dr. Chris is quite humble, and he's involved in the Stokerverse and a whole bunch of other franchises, a bestseller in his own right, coming up with all kinds of projects. And so thank you very, very much, Everett, for taking the time out. We would like to have an open door policy with you when you're ready to come back, maybe, and talk about, that final season once it's released. We would truly love to have you back. You're a kindred spirit, because we're all fans here. I also wanted to let you know that, we're myself and the Tipsy Toaster, who is, working on his wedding plans for this weekend, couldn't be here, but he sends his best. And we created this show because we're fans of Battlestar Galactica. And that's where this came from. And we're 4 years on with hundreds of interviews and programs, trying to give back a little bit of that love that we have for sci-fi and the genres that you mentioned. So thank you for doing what you do. And hopefully we would love to have you. I know you're busy. You got your stuff. You got the day job. But if you have it in you, please come back.
Absolutely. I think when we come back, I might have an update on Battlestar Galactica.
What?
I might have an update on Battlestar Galactica for you next time.
So are you saying that there is life?
I'm just saying I might have an update for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's book that. Let's book that now.
That's a bit of an IFB exclusive there, isn't it?
After August 8th. Let's chat.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it, guys, right? It's IFB, it's Interfleet Broadcasting. What would IFB be without the scoops, right?
Mhm.
So here it is. We got a scoop. And thank you, Everett, for sharing that, because as a matter of fact, we had Lorette Spang, who played Cassiopeia, was with us just a few weeks ago. And, she was asking about, what was going on. And, we know as much as, the best informed fans. And so there you go. Hopefully we will have a positive update. And with that said, the DeSantis singer movie show was probably one of the best that could have been. And let's fingers crossed that something good will come out of what's in the making, which has been stalled so many times.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a movie, then they talked about the series, and then there was nothing, and now with the strike. So
I hope to have a legitimate update for you guys when we talk again.
Oh man, that would be great. All right, so Everett, please, thank you so much for teasing that. It makes such a great way to wrap this up. So we're gonna be knocking on your door and see if we can grab you to come back.
I'm gonna play Admiral Adama. How's that?
Perfect. Why not?
Oh my
gosh.
Can I do Cassiopeia? No.
You can do whatever you like. You have carte blanche to do whatever you like. But yes, thank you again, Chris. Final words before we hand it over.
I would love to see Dirk Benedict come back into a cameo.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him do something like that. I'd love to. I'm a kind of a new classic Battlestar Galactica fan, but I'm really enjoying watching the 78 series. So. I'm hoping there's shades of that, but yeah, I'd be fairly confident that there's a good audience for Battlestar, and certainly should come back.
All right, guys. Well, I'm here if you need me.
Thank you, Everett. Thank you very, very much. So on behalf of IFB and the
Thanks,
fans,
Matt.
here's to you. All right, all the best.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Matt. Bye-bye.
So, what do you think, Chris? Was that?
Yeah, I mean that last little bit. I have no doubt that Battlestar is going to come back. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to come back. But there you go. You've got one of the top guys in the field. He's just giving you a scoop. I mean, hey, you never know what can happen in an episode of IFB, right?
You never know,
Never
man.
know.
That's what it's about. But I think that it's time to discuss some of your work, Chris. Some of the things that are near and dear.
Sure.
You were very modest about your participation. You did mention it to Everett, but Dark Legacies is happening. It's out there right now.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, there's a Zoop campaign, and Shane would tell you that I'm personally involved in supporting. So let's talk about that a little bit.
For those of you who haven't jumped on the Dark Legacies hype train yet, this is a compendium, a very special edition that's got issue 1 and 2, and it's got an exclusive Zip only cover, so you can see all the cast members there.
Okay.
Now, there's something I'm going to tell you that's really important.
Okay.
We have one more main cast member of Babylon 5 joining us. They will be in this compendium. Their image as their character will be on the back cover of this compendium. And we will be telling you who that person is on Saturday.
This Saturday.
This Saturday, Pat Tallman, Claudia Christian, Bruce Boxleitner, and myself are going to be on a special podcast hosted by Pat Tallman as part of her Magical Journeys podcast. And we're going to be revealing all sorts of things about Dark Legacies.
Wow.
We're going to be talking about the upcoming tabletop RPG game. We're going to be talking about Corporation Wars. There we go. There's our Magical Living open house. Yeah. So 8 a.m. London time. It's going to be live. You can sign up for free, but there is a VIP tier. Now, if you go for the VIP tier, we're going to give you a story that Bruce and I have written. You're going to get that in a PDF format. You're going to get a one-shot campaign of the new Corporation Wars RPG, which the full core book is going to be released in July. You're going to get the Cthulhu versus Musketeers comic book. So this is a franchise that Claudia and I created and is now a best-selling RPG series. You will get something else. I can't remember now, but you get 4 or 5 different things if you sign up to VIP tier, and you can also get a replay as well, so you'll be able to watch back and all that. But we will be revealing who the next character in Dark Legacies will be.
I have a feeling it's a big one.
It's a massive one.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I can't say what I want to say. I've been told I can't. But this is somebody whose science fiction legacy stretches a long way. But we will also hopefully be showing our video game trailer from the video game. At the minute, the video game company is polishing it. And we should hopefully be able to show that on Saturday. If we can't show it on Saturday, we're doing a big announcement about the video game, who's backing it, what console it's going to be on Monday, on July the 1st.
Shane said, don't say.
No, I won't. I'm good.
Oh, boy.
I'm good.
So, Mike DeBrune, thank you for tuning in. I was watching your comments. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. Baz from Down Under is with us. Baz, if you missed it, we got a major scoop from Everett, our guest that just finished up. He will be coming back to visit us on IFB again in August. And he's finishing up working on Umbrella Academy, but he gave us a Battlestar Galactica scoop. And now we're getting into what's upcoming with Dr. Chris McAuley. However, I also have a mystery. I have a Battlestar Galactica mystery that we're going to mention toward afterwards. When little bit before we wrap, I have something that I want to share with our fans, and it's totally related to classic Battlestar Galactica, and I'm gonna ask for assistance from all of you guys, and so we'll reveal that afterwards. But for myself, look, guys, the Magical Living open house is, the timing. It's centered, I believe it's GMT, Chris.
It's GMT, yeah. So you've got 8 a.m. GMT. Claudia at the minute's in Rome, and Pat is in Australia at the minute.
So there's a lot going on. For those of you like myself, it's going to be difficult at, I think it's like around 3 a.m. Eastern time. So I actually just bought the rewatch, right? So this way I can go back and just watch. I sent up a couple of questions. There's one for you, Chris, and one for Claudia. Okay. So they're gonna, they're queuing those up. I sent those.
Are they difficult questions, Pete? Are they questions I'm going to have to really think about, or can I? You thought I was just going to throw? It's a throwaway. It's not a throwaway.
I didn't share it with you. I don't know that you're getting a list beforehand. You
may not
have.
I'm not getting anything. No, we're going into this blind.
Okay, well, I have two, one each, and I thought they were pretty good.
Okay.
So now I'm
sort of, I'll be all nervous now. You can't be all nervous about this.
Yeah, right, whatever.
But if we go back to the Zoot campaign, there's something else that's really important, right?
Absolutely.
So at the minute, we're at five.
Wait, there we go.
There we go. So at the minute, we're at $5,344. We need 6,500 to hit
Okay.
the target. So we're doing really well. We're a day in.
Shane, can you give us a quote on what the stats are? Because this is a screen grab from earlier when I was making this, when I was putting it together. That's not live, Chris.
Yeah. So we're up to 74 supporters. We've 28 days left, and we're at 5,344, and we need 6,500 to basically hit the target. So we're doing really well. I mean,
doing really well.
That's awesome. one of there's something that I want to highlight. So if you are a Babylon 5 fan, we are offering sketch covers, which are essentially like you can have anything you want on the sketch cover, like a headshot of your favorite character. Well, not me. Nobody wants a headshot of me. Nobody wants to illustrate.
I do. I'll have one. I'll take it.
Well, okay. You go. You pledge. Hey, you throw your money away, man. You do one. But more likely, people will want a headshot of, of somebody like Bruce Boxleitner, Peter Jurczyk, Walter Koenig. The next individual that we're going to be announcing. So that's a sketch cover. That's going for $125. And, you can basically tell master artist Glenn Fabry, so like the guy who we talked about, the Preacher earlier, the guy who was illustrating Preacher, he's done a lot of Marvel DC stuff, all of that. And then there's another tier. So there's another tier at $500, and he can basically do a full body shot of a character of your choice. So in any sort of way you want, we've got a sort of a demo on the site where you can see Peter Jurczyk's character in midair blasting cyborgs, or
Cylons or something.
Or Cylons, yeah, we could do that. You could do, and then we have a tier at $950, which is your chance to own an original piece of Dark Legacy's art. So
wow,
that's an original page. Glenn works traditionally, so it's pencils and ink. So it's not a digital page. It's something that Glenn's actually illustrated himself. And Glenn's work has gone for between 10,000 50,000. His originals have gone for that. So that's maybe something to think about. And then we've got a A3 commission at $900, which is a single character of your choice, so you can do that as well. Now, if you go onto the Zoop page, Claudia has recorded a special video of her in character in the suit, and she's delivered a quite a good rendition of what Jessica Steele might sound and look like in an upcoming television series, which I'm not allowed to talk about. Not allowed to talk about that at all, even though Mr. Boxleitner might have spilt the beans at a Comic Con earlier in the year, which got me into terrible trouble. But there's that as well. So check out the page, and if you just want the comic book. It's very reasonably priced.
Yes, absolutely. There it is. I got
because it's not just $10. Yeah, it's the two editions together. Mm-hmm. So it's I can't remember what the page count is. Shane can be helping me there, but it's a sizable page count, and it's cheaper than whenever it's cheaper than you'll pay whenever you go to if it goes to retail. So. Please support us. We have great plans for this series, and we're going to keep bringing in sci-fi legends. I actually have 4 or 5 more. I definitely cannot even hint at. But these are major sci-fi legends of film franchises like Back to the Future and things like that.
Wow.
So
stay tuned.
Yeah.
So listen, I wanted to also recognize, Baz. Baz Down Under is, talking about super fans building that 1-to-1 scale Viper 2 in his garage, and getting the trailer together. We want to support him at the minimum by letting everybody know that he created collector coins, and they're limited to 100, and they're beautiful. If you look up Baz Builds on social media, he's got the stuff up. He's got the prototype up, and it's a collector's piece. And he's raising the funds for that trailer so that he can then get that Viper out and be able to show it off, man. The work that it's taken him years to put this together, and we admire everything that he does. So please support as best you can, guys. Baz, lots of luck with that, and just great stuff. Chris, tell me about this here.
Oh yeah, that's delightful chat. So fans of Doctor Who will recognise this as Davros, as played by Terry Malloy since I think the 1980s. Terry's still Davros. So he does like the audio dramas at Big Finish. So what happened was Terry and I have a professional relationship going since the start of the Stokerverse, because he was Renfield in Voices of Dracula, and he calls me up and he said, would you fancy writing Davros and the Daleks? And of course I'm not going to say no to that, right? So Terry has copious notes about his time as Davros. So as he was starting to play Davros, he broke Davros down, the character, and how he portrays Davros is fascinating because he can bring his voice very low down to that sort of level. So you're leaning close, and then he has this bombastic rants. Completely megalomaniac rants. So he brought an awful lot of character to Davros. So I started writing this thing called Davros Diaries, and it is kind of the return of the Daleks. On Monday, the one of the stories that I've written with Terry is getting released in a Monsters annual, a sort of a Doctor Who Monsters annual.
Wow.
So that's a lovely piece of artwork on the right that's going to be along with the annual, and that's illustrated by Alistair Pearson, who's a wonderful Doctor Who artist. He was the artist for an awful lot of the books in the 80s and the 90s. And, I've been very privileged that I've been allowed to write these stories and to bring back the horror of the Daleks. I mean, this is not the Davros and the Daleks of New Who. I will warn everybody. This is back to pretty horrific stuff. So biological warfare. You'll see how the Daleks were created. And the methodology behind that. We go into the war in Scarrow. I've been very. I think the Daleks need to come back in a way that actually frighten people.
But everybody loves the Daleks, Chris. How could you? It's part of the lore. Come on.
Yeah, and the Terry Nation Estate have been very supportive, which has been great.
Cool.
And
very cool.
I just think we need to bring the horror back a little bit into Doctor Who.
I agree.
I'm more of a classic Who fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to tread very carefully in what I say, but for me, if you look at the first Who episodes I saw, and I love all of it really. But that's where most of when I write Doctor Who, and I've written anthologies, and I'm actually writing I think I'm allowed to tell you, I'm writing the comic book sequel to Remembrance of the Daleks at the minute, which Sophie Aldred, the Seventh Doctor's companion, she's writing a foreword for. So
another scoop. There we go.
So I've been working on with Davros and the Daleks for I think about a year now.
Wow.
One of the things that whenever I was reading stuff out to Terry said to me, "He's in your head now," because you get the cadence of the character, and then you start writing it, and it's it's very much comes apart of you. And Terry's lived with Davros now, I think, for about 50 years.
Wow.
40, 50 years. I mean, so he's been great to partner up with and to really deliver an authentic
Looking forward to
Davros
that
story. Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. There's this.
Yeah, I write for Dracula Beyond Stoker. It's nothing to do with the Stokerverse, but I think I've written for every single issue. Issue 4 is out now. These aren't like magazines. These are like 200, 300 page books essentially.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of commitment from Tucker, the chap who edits it, and he brings an awful lot of great talent to these books. So there are different texts in Dracula, not just Bram's Dracula. But I've done a couple of stories in them, short stories, and I've written analysis of for this particular one, an analysis of the fourth bride of Dracula. Now, in the original novel, they're not called brides; they're weird sisters. We don't know the relationship that they have to Dracula, and we don't know the relationship they have to each other. But in the there's a prequel to the original Dracula, and the Bram Stoker wrote, and there's a lady called Countess Doligen of Graz in that. So that's called Dracula's Guest, and I dissect Doligen of Graz and who she is in there too.
Interesting. And then you have, of course, Star Trek.
Now I can talk about this. So I've worked with Walter Koenig, Chekhov, and we created a great story together. Essentially, it's set between Star Trek 2 and 3, the films. And it took a while. It's taken a year. And there was a lot of work with Paramount because this is now canon. It's a canon story. It's set between the films. So it's going into a short story anthology. And Paramount also asked me if it was okay to reprint it in their official Star Trek Explorer magazine. Now that's the first of a series of Star Trek stories that I've been sort of doing. This one's taken a while to come out because it's set between the movies.
Right after I think the Wrath of Khan.
Right after Wrath of Khan. Yeah. So Walter has sat with me and we've gone through who Chekhov was. Everything that Gene Roddenberry told him, and we crafted this story that is very authentic to who Chekhov was and who Chekhov should have been, according to Gene Roddenberry. So that was a lovely experience.
Let's see. I have this Corporation
Wars. Yes, this is the RPG that's coming out next month. So it's a cyberpunk RPG. It's a little sort of it's a prequel to the Dark Legacy's main timeline, and you'll see a lot of this next month. So the core book is coming out, so I think it's about 240 pages. And the RPG company has done some wonderful adverts that are done in an animated comic book style. And like I say, if you sign up for VIP for the Magical Living podcast, you will get a very special one-shot campaign of this of Corporation Wars to give you a little taste of what it is. So that's another thing that's coming out.
Wow, as if you don't have enough things coming out.
This came out about 2 weeks ago. So there's Shitty as the Doctor on the front cover. I do work for the official. I'm a writer for the official Doctor Who fan club. So the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, which has been going, I think, since the 60s, and this is their official magazine. So I've written a few short stories in there. I do write New Who. I do write New Who. I'm more a classic Who person. I sometimes think the BBC just want to get me out of my comfort zone every so often. But I also have written some stuff about Colin Baker's Doctor in there, Sick Doctor, and reviews of the latest series episodes are in there as well.
Wow. Yes, you are quite busy. And this is the last of the images that I picked up. But Chris, there's there's also a card game that
There is a
that's
Stuckerverse
coming out.
Stuckerverse card game.
Yeah.
So I'm working very hard on this with Iconic Studios, and they're doing a fantastic job. So this is going to be a collectible card game. So the first series of packs, I think, come out in October. Everybody wants to release Dracula stuff in October. But yeah, it's a lot of fun because it contains not just Dracula, but the Stuckerverse characters. And
Wow.
we've put a lot of characters in there that Bram wanted to see fleshed out, but never came to life. So it's been great. Like Iconic work on games like Lay Live, Saw franchise, Evil Dead franchise.
Wow.
They're working on a Dark Legacies card game as well. I can tell you that.
Interesting.
So yeah. And the Stuckerverse video game will be out this year as well. And as Shane's reminding me, Dracula Return issue 2 is going to printers next week.
Perfect.
So that'll be another thing coming out. And we've got Dinos, Shane. So Dinos versus Cowboys, it's coming out as well very soon. So yeah, there's lots of stuff going on.
And you had actually disclosed that you had written 2 projects, and they're actually been picked up, or they were negotiated. What's the deal?
What did I disclose? I've forgotten now.
There were 2 projects. You wrote up 2 film projects, 2 shorts.
Oh yeah, that get picked up. Yeah, I was quite surprised about that. That was fun. I wouldn't say I'm a professional scriptwriter, but there's 2 horror scripts picked up and 1 crime script, and the production company that's doing them are top class, and it's they've a real heart for storytelling. I mean, I go off and fucking rants, and everybody knows it, about how the entertainment industry is just fucking rinse and repeat now. And I think you've got to give really good you've got to give really good narrative and something back.
That's what it's
consumers.
about.
Consumers, it's got to be. And the scripts are things that hopefully when they're done, they stay with you for a long time. I'm about psychologically fucking people up.
Oh yeah, well,
I mean that's you've seen some of my stuff. I've shown you that.
Great, it's better to have all these questions that linger in your mind, and you want more, and then you just that's a very specific way of doing, whether it's be stories, film, TV, whatever it is. It's not for everybody, but most people enjoy it.
George is prompting me about Tar Protocol. Right? Can we talk about this? Can we actually talk a little bit very quickly about Tar?
Yes, we can.
Okay, right. So when you guys came to me about Tar Protocol, I really loved the project. I loved the premise of it. You were telling me more and more stuff, and then I started to write because that's what happens. And there's a comic book script.
Yep. And
we have this comic book script, and it's resting. It's resting with Shane at the minute, and we're going to do this. This is going to happen, and fans of the fleet will be chatting about this probably maybe about August, September time, a little bit more.
Yes,
absolutely. But Tar Protocol it's something I'm very, very invested in, and I believe that we're talking card game. We can do card game. There's maybe an RPG sitting in the works. There's lots of things. Everybody knows what I'm like now. I can't help myself.
Yes, so, I mentioned it earlier, Chris. You you've humbled us for joining as a co-executive producer. You've partnered up with our IP. It's the Tower Protocol. It goes back 20 years. This is something that was created back in 2003. 2004 was the first short that made it into 2 film festivals. And then it's been, it was out on part of it was released on public access. It's created a little bit of a small following. It's been broadcast. Half of it has been broadcast for the last 20 years on Queen's public access. and not by accident. It was actually by design. I left part of it with them, and they will throw it up on their lineup as a filler. And I'll tell you that I've been at the JFK International Airport on occasion, and I've had people come up to me and ask me if I'm the guy that was involved with the Tower Protocol, because what I did was I hosted an indie film festival, which I don't know that it really had been done before on public access. And in so doing, I introduced the original Tower Protocol. And so people have come up to me on a regular basis over the years, including some pretty big bosses that I worked for, and asked me about the Tower Protocol. So this year we actually shot. We shot a update. It's called the Tower Protocol Resurrection, and we're happy to have you on board, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks, you, man.
And I think we're gonna have everybody's gonna like it. You guys here on IFB will know all about it. So it's moving forward. We have a rough cut, and our intention is that by the latest September, it's going to be in film festivals as a proof of concept and a showcase of all the talent. We have very talented people on board. Chris, you are, and a lot of others. And also we have an update on the Stranded Warrior. The Stranded Warrior is moving quickly now with the help, of course, of the Tipsy Toaster, Chuck Davenport and Chris Marshall, and the rest of the team that's behind it. It's moving forward very, very quickly. It's gained a lot of momentum. So that is expected to come out as a short, later released as a full director's edition, but that'll come afterwards. So it'll make the festival circuit. So that's coming as well. Chris, you are helping tip of the spear when it comes to a trivia book, which we've mentioned before.
Yeah. That's coming this year. Coming this year. I've actually scarily got a publishing date for that, so I suppose we better finish it.
And we're working on it. We're
working on that one.
Yep.
That'll be fun, and that'll be dedicated to all the fans, IFB fans as well. So it's a lot of fun. I have to say, I'm having a lot of fun with Battlestar Galactica. Really,
Chris, I don't know if you've watched this before, but here is let me bring this up as a not that one. This one. Let me see. I'll go back. There we go. That's what I wanted. So let me see if I can. Yeah, it's a that's your stuff. I want our stuff. Where's my stuff? Let me get this back up. Anyway, the idea is that that'll work. So this is a documentary, Back to Space Con. It's from I don't know. It's let's see, November Fire Recordings, and it's an indie production, and it goes back to the early history of conventions, specifically how the Star Trek conventions kind of created the big sci-fi conventions we have today. And this is from the Northern California conventions, and it's got footage and interviews. George Takei's in here, and Walter Koenig is in here. They're all in here. It's really, really good if you're interested in the convention scene like I am. I picked this up, guys. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I also want to share this. William Kaluta is one of the best shadow illustrators, and he's one of my favorites. There's a limited release of shadow lithographs that have been put out by William Kaluta, all signed and numbered, and I got one, and this was an extra that came with that, and I thought that was really cool. But
you've written for an anthology. You've written for an anthology to the shadow, right?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have a small little edition in the anthology that is on. It's going to be released soon. So the PDF was given to those backers, and then the book is on its way. Fantastic. So yeah, I'm a huge Shadow fan. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well done, man. Well done on that.
Thank you. There's a mystery that I'm gonna divulge now, and that is this. So I picked this up. It's an actual card, and I will show everybody the card when I have it in hand on our next IFB. But nobody knows what this is from. I have an idea. I'm not sure, but it's an actual collector's card, and that's what it looks like. There's the front, there's the back. It's called a star card. I believe that it may have been a promotional item that was associated with the videos when they released the videos. I could be totally wrong. I'm putting this out to the Battlestar Galactica fandom. If any of you guys know what this is about, I've obviously done my due diligence. I've done my Google searches. I've done, my I'm a card collector, so I've done my research. The seller, obviously, who's not a collector, did some research, could not find out what this is about. To the best of our knowledge, this is not part of a set. I don't know if it's a one-off or not, but I'm putting it out there. It's a Battlestar Galactica mystery card. If any of you guys know where this comes from, let us know. Info at interfleetbroadcasting.com. We'd love to find out what the provenance is of this card. And when I have it in hand, I will show it to you.
And did you spot the little in joke?
No. What
traveling as a convoy of ships turns out to be a bonanza. Lauren Green.
Yep.
For a dama.
Yeah.
There you go. That's cool.
That is. It's a nice little write-up. And then it's inspired by biblical story of 10 tribes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not usually, and it mentions by the Assyrians who are returned of some future time. That's usually not the quote that's used. So it makes it a little odd,
different,
right?
It's different because it's actually, Battlestar to me would be based more on Mormonism. Actually, the Kolob and Kobol and stuff like that. So that's an interesting one.
I don't know where the heck this thing, it doesn't say who published. There's no other. It's not numbered. It might be a one-off. Not sure. So anyway, if anybody, it's vintage. I will have it in hand. I'll bring it up next time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, especially you, Chris. Thank you for taking your time out.
Thanks for having me. This was great. I've never been a guest co-host before. This is a first.
Well, it's an excuse to have a beer. So for those that don't know, I will be visiting Dr. Chris McAuley in the very near future, and I'll be posting some pictures, and maybe we'll do a little quick interview.
We'll do that.
Up. Yeah,
we
right.
That'd
be kind of cool.
I'll drink a proper beer for that one.
Okay, cool. That would be really cool. So, I don't know, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had a bunch of scoops tonight, especially the Battlestar Galactica one, which was totally unexpected. John 1, thank you for hooking this up. Everett's a really cool dude. Looking forward to having him back. Chris, thank you for taking the time out.
Thanks,
appreciate it. And you're going to come back. We're going to do a special with you soon. So good luck. Break a leg on Saturday night with that whole.
I'll be listening out to your fucking question. Now I'm getting worried about this.
Oh, come on. It's a good question. It's a good one though. I mean, I wasn't going to send up a dumb question. I sent up.
I know.
You and Claudia got two good questions and you'd be like,
Grant.
That's Pete. That's Pete. Okay.
Yeah.
See? All right. All right, guys. Well, here's to the fleet. Here's to all IFBers. Just thank you all for tuning in. We love having you on board. Keep clicking the thumbs up, guys. Make sure that you send us some love. Tell your friends to watch. Looking forward to the next Thursday. Watch out for our specials too, because we do IFB exclusive, and now we're going to be doing IFB Presents. And our first premiere IFB Presents, of course, will be with Dr. Chris McAuley. But here's to all you guys, to the fandom, right? You guys make it what it is. So here it is. Fans fuel the fleet. All the best. Chris?
Fans fuel the fleet. Slancher. There you go.
There you go. Bottoms up.